Growth factors to look younger. Here's what you asked me to cover. Number 1, what are they? 2, do they work? 3, what's the best alternative if not growth factors? 4, does skincare growth factor work or do they need to be injectable? You're going to be shocked at this one. You're going to see what's happening in the industry and be shocked. Check this out. Some people are even calling it the new PRP. And should you spend your hard-earned money on them? Now, Ariessence is just one of many to hit the market, and we'll look at it today as an example. Many say it's your skin's bottled secret weapon, and for sure, youth in a bottle is indeed the holy grail. Firstly, let me answer the number 1 question you are all asking. Is Ariessence growth factor an injectable? Fair question, because you're seeing it all over social media. Injections being done under eyes, cheeks, and even lip lines and lips. No, it's not meant to be injected. It's not FDA approved for aesthetics, in fact. Here it is. Ariessence is marketed as a cosmetic product and is not intended for any therapeutic use. Now, there are a lot of products out there like growth factors. Think PDRN, polynucleotide salmon sperm DNA, GURI, PCL combinations, PLLAs, Lenlumas. A lot of them are not USA FDA approved for injections to the face. Yes, I know the latest TikToker or Instagram medical provider, doctor, nurse, PA, nurse practitioner, will readily incriminate themselves by posting it on their Instagram. They'll say it's the latest under-eye injection you need now. Come in today before we run out. But that's exactly why you're watching this channel today. Here's the skinny, and here's the packaging of Ariessence for an example. And you're now going to say, by looking at this, Rajani, look at the packaging. It comes with syringes. In fact, 5 syringes in this kit, and even a vial of hyaluronic acid. What kind of hyaluronic acid? Well, you don't know. Not the FDA approved kind in the United States today, but a hyaluronic acid. One would say, well, why would it come like this if it's not meant to be injected? And when you go on to your social media, you'll see people mixing the growth factor that we're going to talk about with the hyaluronic acid and then injecting it into the face. That's what you're seeing and asking about. Now, I see that packaging, but you have to understand it's marketing. Companies are removed, in a sense, from the legality of a clinic's practice. If you can fathom that at all, it is true. It's sales. What your provider does with it is up to them and their risk tolerance, but unfortunately it translates to your risk tolerance because you're entrusting them. So if it's not an injectable, what is it? Well, it's a topical, meaning used topically, just like skincare is. Or like products for post-procedure, like after lasers, after RF microneedling, after resurfacing, chemical peels, and the like. Think wound healing, like how we use Vaseline or Aquaphor. But instead, of course, here you're getting a growth factor product. More on that and exactly how to use it. But first, why is it not an injectable yet? Why this issue? Well, a company would need FDA clinical trials for injections, and clinical trials take years and millions of dollars. To give you an idea, for their other products that are FDA approved, it took over $100 million and 12 plus years. And we don't have that time in the aesthetic market because companies would profit if they waited for those approvals. Getting Ariessence FDA approved for the face would be like convincing your grandma that TikTok is a legitimate career path. It's likely not going to happen anytime soon. So number 1, let's dive into exactly what Ariessence is. Well, it's a single platelet-derived growth factor, PDGF. Platelet-derived growth factor. But right about now, you're wondering, hey, I showed you last week in recent PRF spins, I demonstrated several growth factors in there, mesenchymal stem cells, and even exosomes that you can get from your own blood products. So why wouldn't those be included in Ariessence? Why only one growth factor when you can have all of it? Why would you not want exosomes, mesenchymal stem cells, and other growth factors in this solution? The answer is, well, you would. In an ideal situation, you want all of those. In fact, the body has over 40 known growth factors. Here's the slide that I showed you a few weeks ago from the measurements that we did on PRF, your autologous growth factors in your own body. You can see here other growth factors, the PDGF beta here in PRF, like in Ariessence, but also VEGF, and TGF beta, vascular endothelial growth factor and transforming growth factor beta. I think this latter one actually might be the most important, but there's also FGF, Fibroblast growth factor. You think that one might be important? Yeah, fibroblasts. They produce collagen and elastin. Wouldn't we want that in Ariessence? Of course, but you may then be led to believe that PDGF, because it's in there, is the most important, but that's actually not true. Remember, with exosomes, we thought they were actually waste products in the body. And then we came to know how important those signals were for cell-to-cell communication. So yes, we used to think one growth factor was enough, but now we know that's just not the case. Why? We now know about something called secretomes. Keep the word secretomes in mind. I'll circle back to that one in a second because that one may be new to many of you, but it's the future. And it's not one growth factor, it's the whole show. Now back to the afterthought that I talked to you about aesthetics, because the company of Ariessence does have several FDA-approved medical products, and that's really good. You see, it was designed for other human applications, non-aesthetic ones, but then of course the aesthetic market is in the billions of dollars and growing fast, so the company thought likely, hey, let's get involved in the boom. Let's get some profits out of this. The regenerative aesthetics boom that's confusing all of you. While fillers are spiraling down from overfilled faces, biostimulators are on the rise. Think Sculptra, salmon sperm DNA, PDR, and Gurilin Luma, and the list I talked to you about. Those are all considered biostimulators. In fact, I have videos on all of those that I talked about separately if you want to see more about those. Watch those later because the next bit of information I'm going to give you is actually more crucial. If you choose to get a single growth factor product, then yes, Ariessence is a good product. Now, many people are comparing PRP or even PRF. PRF is the newest generation of PRP. It's the latest, greatest spin that has the most concentration of growth factors, stem cells, and exosomes in it. But they're comparing that to Ariessence. But it's important to know why that makes no sense. If you're going to go through injections, you may as well have the best. You see, Ariessence only contains PDGF, that one platelet-derived growth factor. What are the components not in Ariessence but are key to wound healing that you'll want? Ariessence does not contain secretomes that I mentioned, a mixture of bioactive proteins and signaling molecules secreted by your own cells. It doesn't have TGF-beta, and that's involved in wound healing, but can also cause a little bit of fibrosis, so we're careful with that one. You see, there's a balance here. It's also why we don't want 300,000 times what you might get from your blood spin, because too much of that growth factor can lead to a bit of scarring. Remember exosomes, they always used marketing and they put, hey, there's 8 billion exosomes in the vials. We came to find out that a lot of the vials had 0 exosomes. Some needed to be cooled, some didn't. Are they active or not? So keep in mind, more is not better. So when you see companies saying, hey, we have 300,000 times what you might get in PRF or PRP, we don't know that that's good. And in fact, there's good evidence that it might be harmful. Just like exosomes that you get exogenously from other sources, they can signal things that you don't want, like cell overgrowth or division of cells that are out of control. Just another reason why your own body's products are often better than synthetic. Now, something like Ariessence is not going to have MSCs or mesenchymal stem cells, but you have 1% floating around in your blood, and we can concentrate those for something like your own blood spin. You see, PRF contains them naturally. There's much more, but you can see where PRF is just a more complete autologous natural treatment. Now, what about convenience? Because I know what you're all thinking, and if you're a guy out there, we sometimes faint when we get our blood draw. It's just convenient to have a vial, albeit a lot more expensive to have a synthetic vial. PRF is much less expensive. But here's the kicker with convenience. Look at a PRF spin. How long does it take to get your PRF and have it ready to put wherever you're going to put it? Well, a blood draw, and I do hundreds a month in my clinic, a blood draw is going to take about 3 minutes to get 2 tubes. How long does it take to spin the PRF? It's a 5-minute spin at around 1,000 RPM. So clearly under 10 minutes, you can have your all-natural injection ready to go. There's no processing for PRF like there is for PRP. What you need is hydrophobic tubes, cool temperatures of your tubes, and no real exposure to oxygen or irregularities in the tube so that it doesn't prematurely clot. Now, here's a cool little argument people will tell you, that old people, and they'll often say over the age of 40, don't have good blood. You won't have good stem cells, exosomes, or growth factors. They'll say, we want young people's growth factors, exosomes, and stem cells. It's a common myth. Here's a question for you. If you come in to my clinic, you're age 60, 70, 80. I have patients into their 80s. I even have early 90s. And if you cut yourself, whatever age you are out there, does it heal up? And if it does, guess what? Your body can heal itself. Your growth factors are fine, your exosomes are fine, your stem cells are just fine. If your body doesn't heal, then yeah, you probably want to get synthetic type of products. But I haven't met many people where their wounds don't heal properly. Would it be ideal to have your 20-year-old blood? Well, maybe. But if you get anything synthetic and made in a lab, there's always a risk of immunogenicity and a reaction. Not to your own blood, however, never. So speaking of autologous, meaning it comes from yourself, allogenic would mean it comes from another person. How does Ariessence get made? How is it produced? And by the way, yes, there's something also called xenogenic in case you get something from another species like a pig, bovine, cow source, or different animals. That's called xenogenic. But Ariessence does not contain human cells, blood, or genetic material, which is really nice. It's just the purified PDGF protein, and we like that, of course. It's manufactured in a lab using recombinant DNA technology. The process goes something like this. Scientists identify the PDGF gene in human DNA. The gene is then inserted into yeast cells, like brewing beer a little bit, to produce the PDGF in a controlled environment. The PDGF growth factor is then purified and batch tested for potency and safety. So in summary, if you can't get a blood draw, you'll need synthetic. If you want a single growth factor and you're into synthetic versus your own, then it is a good product, albeit not approved for aesthetics. The HA mixed with it, well, certainly that creates a problem. If you want autologous, meaning from your own blood, nothing synthetic, PRP is the way to go. If you want something more comprehensive that contains actually your exosomes, secretomes, all the other growth factors, well, that's going to come with your own blood spin like platelet-rich fibrin. If 10 minutes time is too much for you to get your own products, then definitely synthetic and coming out with something through a vial is convenient. You'll now want to watch this video all about salmon sperm PDRN taking Europe and Asia by storm. Is that an injectable? Is it better than Ariessence or PRF? Stay tuned here. Keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.